Hello, everyone. Your favorite comm major, Jim, is here. And I just wanted to talk to you about Anchor.fm. It is super easy to set up a podcast and get it out to all those amazing podcast platforms your friends use. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading you this ad. And I'm also a member. So honestly, it's super easy, even for the comm majors. You know, we did not do enough work in college, but it's super easy to upload your episode, get it out there to all those services. So if you want to start a podcast, go to anchor.fm/start, and you can, check it out right there. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast.
Hello and welcome to Comm Majors. I'm Brian Costello.
I'm Jim DeSanto.
And I'm just a little pupa. I'm just a pupa, just trying to grow some wings.
Become a butterfly.
Just struggling to grow those wings.
Become a moth with a skull on its back.
I'm getting close.
Yeah.
A moth with a evil tramp stamp.
Would that be that's my version?
That is kind of a tramp stamp.
Hmm.
Interesting. Is that a socially appropriate term to use anymore?
No, not really.
No,
at all.
Certainly
really.
not.
We
We just lost our one audience member.
Yeah.
Probably not. That is an example of
We've
a
just
term
offended
that is,
our last person that was not previously offended.
Yeah, well, we only had a few people left after our Pretty Woman episode.
Yep.
Just crushing people's
We really did. We really
dreams and
took away all of their hopes.
So today we're continuing our Oscar-winning month with Jim's selection, a film that won pretty much the five most major awards at the Oscars.
That's right.
The Silence of the Lambs. But first, as always, we ask the most pressing question of every episode. What are we drinking this episode?
I am drinking bourbon. It is Eagle Rare bourbon, which is a Buffalo Trace product. If you can find it, it's super.
Is that the one you drove all over the place trying to find?
No, that's the Stag Junior. I got to take it slow on that one because that's more expensive. This is only $30 a bottle, but it is absolutely delicious. And if you can find it, get it. It's a weird bourbon in that it comes in a bottle that looks like a wine bottle.
Oh, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm drinking a fine Chianti.
Ah.
She's lying, though. She's not. It's a Pinot Noir.
I didn't have any Chianti. It's a fine Pinot Noir. It's a Monterey County Pinot. It's so yummy.
Would never have known. I would never have known. I thought that was awesome.
He mispronounces that, by the way, which is kind of weird.
What's this he say?
Chianti.
Chianti?
Yeah, but wasn't that like wasn't he mocking? I felt like he was.
I think in the book there is something about him saying that in a mocking term, in a mocking way, but it does not come through in the movie.
No, I agreed. I'm drinking Pseudo Sue Pale Ale by Toppling Goliath Brewing, a brewing company out of Iowa, and it's quite delicious.
And another beautiful can. Do you take into consideration the design of the can when choosing your beverage?
That's pretty much only how he does it.
Yeah, I only select my beers by look.
That's excellent. Winning.
Not by
Winning.
The what's on the inside matters nothing to me. I am that shallow. I just want it's all about the look of the can.
You know what you like.
That's how you listen.
Wrong.
You gotta do it sometimes.
Thank God Aileen does not choose that way.
No.
Yep.
I would have been kind of screwed on either end. What was inside or out. So
she has no standards.
Yeah.
So
to be clear, it does not really matter on either front. All right. So when we were last together, we were actually doing our Valentine's movie, which was about time. But we've had some exciting things happen since then. If you've been listening to our last few episodes, you've noticed that Comm Majors is now a officially sponsored podcast. We have picked up a sponsor somehow. We know every week I attempt to beg somebody to sponsor our show, and we finally have somebody.
So I logged into our Anchor account, and it was like, hey, we would like to sponsor your podcast. You just have to record this little thing. And so I went and did it and put it on there. And so far, guys, we have made 73 cents.
Yes.
That's 73 cents we didn't have prior to me recording that.
I mean, I've already spent it, so.
I know.
Can we do a fact check on that spot ad? I would like to call into question something that you have said.
Oh,
What?
that I was the favorite comm major?
Jim said that he's the favorite comm major. I think
It said the way that they said, like, you should read this ad, and there's only very specific parts that you need to stick to. And it said for the rest of it, you should really be yourself.
Ah, yes.
So,
And so you wanted to bring that full conceit, that full cockiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
was trying something.
Should we run a poll? We should
You're
probably run a
trying.
poll to see
I don't know
who
if
is
it's working.
I will lose
I
that.
think that's a great idea, Brian.
who is
Yeah.
the favorite comic.
Yep.
I don't think I would win, so I will immediately take myself out
Well,
of the running.
Patty
No, no, no,
Costello
no,
is going to
no,
vote
no.
for you.
Patty
So
will raise,
you are at least going
she
to get
will-
one
yeah.
vote.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to win though.
She
so
will
I should eliminate
campaign for you,
myself.
dude. No,
I feel pretty
we're
confident.
not doing a poll on this because Katie will obviously win. It's
So
not
obviously we need to prove it. Prove it.
okay. Fine, if you really need to prove
All
it.
right.
That's
Well,
fine.
Katie,
I
you can run that.
I'm going to run that poll.
73 cents.
73 cents. We have made sense.
Now,
if
if
you just continue to listen to us, if you're a listener, like set it up on your phone, even when you're not home.
Yeah.
If you have like an old iPhone, you
Yeah.
still can play podcasts on it.
It's true.
That's what I do. I leave my old phone and I just put our episodes on replay.
I love
since
it.
we've
we
got
will
this.
get $10 if 1,000 people listen
That's
to us.
amazing. I try to listen 3 times every week on Spotify, iTunes,
This is
and
not good for anything. Your mental health is number one.
I am asking our Polish fans to really step up their game.
huge in Poland.
Yeah.
You're
We
huge
are
in
very
Poland.
big in Poland. Okay, now going back to last week's movie, I was interested. We had been talking about Time, and I was interested how it compared to the other Richard Curtis movies we had done in terms of critic reviews, audience acceptance, and monetary success.
Yes.
So About Time had a 69% critic positive review. 81% fan, and only brought in 87 million.
So interesting.
Now, his movies don't usually have huge budgets, so that the money's not big. Now, what's interesting is that had better critic reviews than our favorite, Love Actually, which was only at 64. Love Actually, as a fan number, is only at a 72%, which
Surprising. Shocking.
I'm shocked.
Those are joyless people. Joyless.
But it brought in $244 million.
Yeah.
And finally, Four Weddings and a Refutal, a 96% critic response,
Wow.
74% fan. So right in line with About Love Actually, and it brought in 245.
That is shocking. That is shocking information to me.
Yeah, I think About
So-
Time went under the radar as far as like marketing and all that.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. But the fact that Four Weddings made more money than both of them.
Oh,
And
Four
is
Weddings was
that-
gigantic.
Really?
Yeah, Four
Yeah.
Weddings. Yeah, I
It
think
was
you
like and it
people
came out in
forget.
the indie, like when indie movies
Craze.
were like a big
Yes.
thing.
It
When
was.
people loved
it
Andy
was.
McDowell.
I think if I remember,
No,
I
they
think
did not.
People did love Andy McDowell. Have you seen Magic
people-
Mike? The woman they chose to have the moment with Joe Manganiello, Andy McDowell. There's a reason for that. People love Andy McDowell. Women of a certain age.
All right.
women love Andy McDowell.
Oh yeah, because she's like an every woman. You know, like she's not like she doesn't
was
look
a
like Cindy Crawford.
supermodel. That's how
Well,
she made her.
yes, but same idea, right? Where she was like, she wasn't the, Giselle Bundchen of supermodeling, Pam Anderson. She was supposed to look like the girl next door, curly haired girl.
My goal is to make Jim watch one Andy McDowell movie a year for the future of this podcast.
I think we can definitely do that.
Luckily, she hasn't been in anything recently, so
We might have to fact check
Magic
that. I think
Mike.
yeah.
Two.
We'll see.
As long as she doesn't have to talk,
Magic Mike 2. Was she in Magic Mike 2?
Yes, she was.
that's awesome.
Okay. So there we go. So About Time did kind of go under the radar, but it matches up in terms of reviews and things like that, the other films. And yeah, let's say that's it.
It's time for
Oh,
the rundown.
I wanted to hear your thoughts on Parasite, just quick.
Oh, Oh yes, okay. Because I said I was going to watch that. I did watch it. And unlike some people, I don't think because it's a foreign film, it should be disqualified from winning Best Picture. I thought it was good. It was really good. I will say this: I did prefer Rick Dalton and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I would put Little Women over it as well. I enjoyed those two films more, though I keep thinking about Parasite. I have to see it again. So, but I mean, it's all three were awesome. So this is a pretty good year last year for the Oscars, because I've seen those three, and all of them I think are really good films.
Well,
it seems
great.
fitting that
news.
we're dealing with another creepy movie that did really well at the Oscars tonight, because that's super rare.
I want to fact check for next week, Bri.
Yes.
Other movies since Silence of the Lambs that have won that many Oscars.
All right.
5 Oscars.
Writing it down.
Was it Return of the King?
With the pencil.
He licked the tip. He licked to the
check.
tip.
Most Oscars.
Is it time for the rundown?
Can I tell you something exciting?
Most Oscars.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I know all of the names in this movie.
Well, there's only 2 or 3, so I would fucking hope so.
Get excited.
I would hope you would know that. All right,
Buck is excited about Magic Mike. I like that. Buck. And I'm Anderson Cooper with tonight's rundown. Clarice is just a baby caterpillar, getting ready to grow some wings, when she meets Hannibal Lecter, famed cannibalistic professorial serial killer. An unlikely relationship looms as imprisoned Lecter helps a young FBI agent work her first big case and find serial killer Wild Bill before he can finish his flesh suit.
Yep.
That's
there
it.
you go.
All right.
That's it.
I like it.
Bada bing, bada boom.
You got a lot in there.
Yep.
The characters' names
Had character
are correct.
names. I did question myself on Wild Bill because the security guard at school calls himself that, and I was like,
It's not Wild
do
Bill.
I have
It's
it
not
right?
Wild Bill.
What's his name?
It's not
Buffalo Bill.
God damn it.
Yeah, you're way wrong.
So
I know everybody in this movie.
I know everybody.
Do you even know his character
His
name?
name is Bill. It's
No.
Bill? No.
No, it's not at all Bill, actually.
No, I don't know.
No.
James Gunn.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
certainly not.
Not to
James
be
Gunn.
No.
not to be confused with James Gunn, the director
Yeah.
of many great films.
No.
Okay, so we'll start out, since this is Jim's film, with just Jim, a quick explanation of why for Oscar month you picked Silence of the Lambs.
I went back and started looking through Best Pictures, because I didn't really have, nothing really jumped out at me as far as, like, I didn't have a film in my mind as something I wanted to watch and that had won an Oscar. So I started to look through, and I thought this was an interesting one because I know Katie loves it. I hadn't rewatched it in a long time. I think it's generally thought of as one of the greatest movies ever made. Yeah, and so why not?
Good choice.
Yeah.
All right. A big time Oscar winner.
Yeah.
I think at the end of last episode, when we were teasing this was coming on, I was saying, I remember this is really the first time as a kid knowing about the Oscars. Now, certainly I didn't, I wouldn't have seen this movie. What was it? It was 89.
91?
No, was it 91?
I think it's 91.
12. So wouldn't have seen it, but I do vividly remember seeing these Oscars, and this film so dominated it.
Yep.
That I kind of remember thinking, wow, is this normal for a film to generate this type of complete acceptance that this is that movie for that year? And the answer is no, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
It's not. And I think this year the buzz for the Oscars was really good because, as we've already said, with Parasite and stuff like that, there were a lot of really good films this past year.
Yeah, it turns out when you pick something that people might be upset about, the racists come out of the woodwork to say that it shouldn't be the winning movie.
But
also the fact that they again slighted women. across the board.
And people of color.
And people of color.
But do you know what I found really interesting about this year is, as I'm watching it, so many years I find like the Oscars are a lot of movies I have necessarily no interest in seeing those movies again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this was a year that will provide, I think, a long time of interest in the Oscars. And, you know, the year of Silence of the Lambs, it was like that too. It's like this film that, you know, in 20 years, 30 years, people are still going to be gravitating towards.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe as a kid, I wasn't aware that that was uncommon.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the movie.
Yeah.
What do you like about it? What's good?
Well, I mean,
what do you like?
So right off the bat, we have to talk about Anthony Hopkins, because he is typically thought of as, you know, obviously an amazing actor, but his performance as Hannibal Lecter, he's typically thought of as one of the greatest movie villains of all time, right up there with Darth Vader, and, you know, I don't know who else would be in that category, but, you know, some of the scarier, you know, Jason, Freddy, whoever these incredible, like, and Jason's not so much an acting experience, but
right. I was just going to say that, you know, in terms of somebody who's not a boogie monster, you know, that's just a man in no costume with no magical powers. He's quite small
bars
and for most of the time, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's listen to Clarice meeting him for the first time. So,
oh my God,
the visual. Yeah. So the whole preface of this is that Clarice Starling, a trainee in the FBI, not even full on agent yet, right, is brought in by one of the superiors to interview Hannibal Lecter, because he is basically giving them no information, and they believe that he can help profile the Buffalo Bill, not the Wild Bill, the Buffalo Bill killer, and help them find him. So Clarice goes to this prison in Baltimore and is basically meeting with Lecter in the basement, where he's behind like a glass enclosure, like something you would see a supervillain in a superhero movie behind.
And you get the lead up to this is like the layers of security, you know, like her director tells her, the prison warden who's super creepy tells her, like,
well, he shows her the picture.
Crazy rules about how you interact and how you don't interact with this man. So we're expecting somebody who looks more like the first few prisoners you see, who are like screaming, clawing at the glass, doing gross.
Well, they're all behind bars.
Yeah.
And he's got glass.
Yeah. But we get them first.
Right. And we should say that, you know, to kind of, for those listening, when she turns the corner, the first thing you see is sort of this unassuming man. But right away, the way that Anthony Hopkins carries himself in this role, his posture, everything about him is unnerving from the get-go.
Yes.
And so let's listen to this, and you'll hear Clarice meet Dr. Lecter for the first time.
Good morning.
Dr. Lecter, my name is Clarice Starling. May I speak with you?
You're one of Jack Crawford's, aren't you?
I am, yes.
May I see your credentials?
Certainly.
Closer, please. Closer. That expires in 1 week. You're not real FBI, are you?
So that's the intro to Hannibal Lecter. Yeah.
Tension.
And a few things that they do with the camera here that is super interesting to me is when he's saying closer, closer, the camera's on him, and then when she finally takes a step forward, he walks directly, looking directly down the lens of the camera, and you think for a second, at least I did, that he's looking at her holding out her license or her credentials, her badge. And then you realize he looks from that down. So that entire time as he walked forward, he was staring directly into her eyes. And then the camera flips and you see her, and the credentials are sort of like ancillary to this whole interaction.
And prior to that, the camera is actually behind each of them.
Yeah.
And so when you're seeing each person, you get the back of the other person's head. And so there's an interesting like fly on the wall perspective where you can see both of them watching each other, even though you're not at a side angle. Right? Like I like it.
Well, the cinematography in this movie is awesome. Mm-hmm. It's very stylized to this movie. Shockingly, did not even get a nomination for Best Cinematography.
That was back when people still didn't know what the cinematographer did.
Well,
I think the Academy knew what they did.
I think
so?
the Academy.
Yeah.
I don't know. The people that presented it this year still didn't know what it was.
Well, the people who present it are fools usually. But here's a question I have about this movie. Love Anthony Hopkins. He's in the movie somewhere between 16 to 18 minutes.
Yeah.
Is that enough to be best actor in a film, you think?
Oh, well,
that's one of the
great question.
There's not many critiques people have. Now, I personally am fine with him having won, because that allowed me to be able to say that in my time at the University of Scranton, I actually interviewed an Oscar winner, because in the category he probably should have been in, which is Best Supporting Actor, one Mr. Jack Palance won. And if you remember, I did get to interview Jack Palance, so I could say I interviewed an Oscar winner. So thankfully, apparently, according to the Academy, 16 to 18 minutes of screen time is enough to qualify you.
Well, I think all you need to be is the top billed actor.
Yeah, I don't know what their rules are. What I would say
you get
is
you get to pick. Like Brad Pitt picked being Best Supporting Actor this year when his screen time was commiserate to what Leo's was in Once Upon a Time. But I guess I'm kind of joking about that. But do you think just his aura hangs over this movie enough to justify him as a co-lead in some respects to Jodie Foster?
Yes, I do. I think Jodie Foster gets overshadowed by him, which is maybe unfortunate, but his character is so all-consuming.
Well, she won.
I know, and
you're right.
I don't know, right? Like I don't know what else was up that year, but to me, he's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
His performance is absolutely incredible, breathtaking. It gives you goosebumps. I think she's the straight man, right? Like,
but I think she needed. I think his performance is obviously the more over the top one, but I think that her casting is so well conceived because it did need to be grounded in a way that she was able to pull off.
I totally agree. And I don't want to take anything away from her. I'm just saying when you're comparing their performances, it's hard to do, because I think it's clear the artistry of his performance is so clear when her acting is more subtle. It's a more subtle.
It's a subtle character.
Yeah,
it is. But what's interesting is it's certainly not as flashy. But I think there's an argument to be made, and there's a few things that impress me really about her. And what's interesting is she acts so little, anymore at all. But really, she's not someone who acted a ton even after this. Her, ability to just convey emotions when Ted Demme decided that, to keep so many of those tight, wide single shots, that they were doing above the waist, almost like it's almost like a reverse POV, right on her. In particular, I think of towards the end when they go to the night vision goggles and what she's conveying. That's like really powerful work. And even going back and looking at it, I think the fact that she has veered away from acting, maybe to me made that performance even that much more intriguing than if she was somebody who had gone on to do like 50 or 60 films from then and you had other characters in your mind with her. She really stands out in a performance that it was not a time in Hollywood where there were necessarily a lot of female characters created in this way, I think.
And I wonder how much that played in giving her the Oscar nod. I mean, there's very much statement being made in this film about, being a woman in a man's world and those struggles and holding your own, when the powers that be are, confronting you. Like, I think that there's very much a message there that sometimes I think the Academy is just looking to like give a thumbs up to something as opposed to saying like that was the most amazing performance of the year.
Right. But the script and the acting of how she felt in those moments, because I thought that was an undercurrent of this movie that sort of went by the wayside, which was that, she is constantly being not undermined, but discounted and kind of made to feel less than.
Yeah. I mean,
and then on top of all of that, at the very end, she's excluded from the collar. Like, she's excluded from when they think they're going to capture Buffalo Bill, and they exclude her from that.
100%. Yeah. But she is the chosen one at the very beginning, right? Like, she gets selected.
Yeah. No,
I mean, they're not just sending her in there for a research project. Like she is chosen for a purpose. Now, absolutely, part of that is because she's a woman, yes, but also because they think she can get information out of him that somebody else wouldn't be able to get. You were talking about how she conveys emotions in certain scenes, and I wanted to just tie that into the director's choices in how we feel that emotion. So, like, Bri, you were talking about the night vision glasses, like watching that scene. I think that this movie and the cinematography of it, like, this is where I can kind of like get behind understanding cinematography. The way the camera moves through certain spaces, to me, is like it connects you immediately with the characters that are in that moment, and to like you feel that, right? So like the night vision scene, oh my God, is just like terrifying. But then even just like more subtle moments. The scene where they go to the funeral home and she's in the room with all of the male cops. I mean, you start sweating with her. Like, it is the most uncomfortable. It's real tight shots, right? Like, they're real close with the camera. Oh, it's just like your skin crawls. Like, you feel all of them staring at her.
Well, another way to kind of look at this, as far as the two of them being nominated and winning, is that while the main plot, if you just read a synopsis of this, seems to be trying to catch Buffalo Bill, in actuality, the way that they film this is that the relationship between her and Lecter, to me, takes more of a forefront as far as the emotional importance in this movie, and the catching of Buffalo Bill is sort of like the side effect of that, right? And so, like, they're kind of a package deal at that point, if you look at it that way. And because I think that relationship is what people will keep coming back to over and over. They don't care about Buffalo Bill and how he got caught or who he was and what he was doing. They care about seeing these two actors, share a scene together.
Yeah.
And that's why this won every Oscar, and that's why they both won.
Yeah.
And that's why, Brian, I think we will be revisiting this movie over and over again.
The intimacy of their relationship in a very non-traditional way. And
the respect that he has for her that no one else in the movie does.
The world is much too interesting with you in it.
Right.
Yeah.
And she knew that before he had to tell her.
She knew he wasn't coming.
Right. Yeah.
She knew he wasn't coming.
I at times find this film intriguing in the sense that it's one of those movies, and when you talk about like a timeless quality to a movie, and part of it's the cinematography, the use of color. It is of its time, but not a sole product of it.
Just her clothes, really.
Well, no, but that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I enjoy it in terms of, this is where I think production design and things sometimes get overlooked. You can watch it, but the way it's shot and the performances are so timeless that they don't lean too much into that. And I often wonder, how you do that balance. How do you make a film that is of a timeless quality? Like, is it like a razor thin line? You're making a film in that time period, so you're trying to make it relevant for an audience.
Well, I don't think that's a metric.
Beyond that, I just don't know how some films are able to pull it off, because I don't necessarily think it's just like a single performance, because I think sometimes there are movies that have great performances that we look at, but you go back and look at it and you're like, man, this is such a product of that time. I understand why people liked it then.
Yeah.
It just doesn't sit with us. That performance is great, or that song is great, or that cinematography is great, but there's something unbalanced about it. Like, this is a film, if you told me they made this last week and it was just set in this time period, I would have bought that.
Well, so I think part of it is that word unique. Who would you compare them to? Outside of this film, who are your other Hannibal Lecters and Clarice Starlings?
Well, not at all to that extent, but a movie that kind of tried to do something similar and kind of failed. I don't think it failed, but it's a good movie, but it's not a great movie, is Heat, where you have Robert De Niro and Al Pacino playing opposite each other. One's a bank robber, one's a cop, and they try to have scenes where they like, at least one scene in the movie where they interact, so like the big bad and the big good.
Yeah, but
it doesn't resonate like this. Not even close.
And you know what? That felt like everything was built to get to that moment, if we're going to talk about Heat. Whereas the interactions here are so organic that it allows things to flow. And I never read the book. I don't know if either of you guys read Thomas Harris, but I do think if done correctly, adopting a book sometimes can add a really interesting layer to a movie. I think a lot of times it's disastrous when they do adaptations.
Yeah.
I don't know, Jim maybe could speak to this, how faithful this is to the novel, but I just thought their interactions, I'd be interested, did they cherry pick those interactions and make that a bigger piece of this film than what it was to the novel? Because I
honestly don't remember. Yeah.
But I think, Brian, what you're saying is right. Like, I think the piece that gets added by basing it off of a novel, if you have, you're hoping that the folks that are making the movie have actually read the book.
Which isn't always the case.
It's not always the case. Absolutely.
Knowing some who have had their books optioned for
not always the case.
They don't even read the book sometimes.
Right. But if they do, you've got that time and space in a book to really flesh out characters. And so then when a director and a screenwriter really know that character, the choices they have that character make on screen are more informed, are more well informed, because they understand that character inside and out. Whereas sometimes I think screenplays take shortcuts on character development, and it shows.
Well, and it's also, I mean, we've talked about this before, like what happens frequently, and this goes back to like The Shining, for example, when we did that as a discussion. You get somebody like Kubrick who's interested in a theme or an idea, but isn't going to even use the book. And that's what I think happens a lot of times with books that turn into films. I've always been an advocate. I think if you want a true adaptation of a novel, the Netflix, Amazon Primes, that medium of storytelling is maybe more effective
you have
to
more
go
time.
in that way. There's going to be something wildly different,
I did want to
which
talk.
is fine.
I did want to talk about, Brian, your point of like a timeless movie. I don't think that's a metric that good directors and great directors think about. Right. I think that is what happens when you and this is all art. This transcends. If you try to make something timeless, you fail. I mean, whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's a TV show, you can't do that. You just need to tell your story and do your thing and do it as best you can and as truthful as you can. If you're worried about trying to be broad and attract people to it by appeasing them in any way, you're going to fail because you create something that's watered down and doesn't resonate with anybody.
Well, and I think that's true. And I think it's interesting. And just as like a metric to compare it to, think about the sequel to this movie. And I don't know if I consider it even a direct sequel.
What, Red Dragon? Oh, Hannibal.
Hannibal.
Yeah.
When Jodie Foster did not come back.
Yeah.
And casting aside that movie, the look of that movie, just the feel of that movie does not have a timeless
quality. I will tell you that book is bad.
And I love Julianne Moore. I mean, we've already established as an actress, she's fantastic. But I just, you can fail at times in that way in terms of what they do. Now, what's interesting about this movie is, to me, from a storytelling perspective, and I think, Jim, you kind of hit on it a little bit, narratively here, it's kind of odd because you get this front half of this exploration of Starling and the interactions with Hannibal Lecter, and Buffalo Bill is kind of a secondary character. But like the final act, for all intents and purposes, Lecter is gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, that's interesting. As I was rewatching it, because I had watched this recently before when I was doing AFI films, I really sat and thought about it. And I said, I think if the performances had been not as good, if the visuals, like they hit home runs on all these choices, the story itself here is a very truncated version feel of a book in some way, I felt. But I was able to buy into it because everything about the movie was so well done. Well, it didn't stand out to me.
I think we also have to remember that prior to this, I don't think we were used to seeing as much forensic science as we are bashed over the head with now, because there's 18 million bad television shows that do it. And so I think we do at this point in time, we want to understand more of the investigative process probably than most people did back then. And so that piece of it, I think, does get a little, I mean, it's pretty tenuous, the connections. Did you have something you wanted to say? Go.
Mm-hmm. So to me, the movie is really this character study of Clarice, right? Mm-hmm. And so Hannibal serves the purpose of helping us to get inside of Clarice's mind and understand why she is the way that she is. And so the title, Silence of the Lambs, comes from this story from Clarice's past, where she has experienced great loss, right? She has experienced the death of her mother. Then she experiences the death of her father, who she's very close to, is really her only parent. She grows up with dad, right? And so like that loss is felt horribly so. Goes to live with aunt and uncle. There's like a hint of, were you abused? Is that why you ran away? And then it's no. The story is that we were, they owned a farm. They owned a ranch. And I woke up to the screaming of the lambs, and they were killing the lambs, and that's why she ran away and she never went back. The innocence of that. Sorry, I was like telling the story in my mind. I was like, did she go back? She did go back. They caught her.
Yeah,
they caught her and they brought her back. Anyway, I don't even know what happened to her at that point, but the point of that story was that was this changing moment for her, even though she had her innocence lost, right? 2 parents lost, innocence lost, watching another innocent creature having its life taken, like that cements forever that Clarice Starling is going to like be an avenger, right? Like be somebody that hunts for justice, that, you know, protects the innocents. And Hannibal's whole thing is, you know, did Finding Buffalo Bill, did it silence the lambs? To me, that part of the storytelling is beautiful, you know. That
because he knows the path that she's on, right?
Totally.
That like you can never.
Well, and that's the psychologist piece, right? Where like, you get to see that relationship in such a different way.
And he's not using his powers for good. He knows that, like, she's never going. The answer to that question is no.
No,
because there's so many other bad people out there to get, right? There's Yes. So it's a rhetorical question that he already knows the answer to it. That, but he knows her motivation. Right.
He knows that that's what's going to drive her, is that she's going to keep looking for the lambs. She's going to keep wanting to protect the lambs. And so to me, that purpose for Hannibal, I mean, his acting, his role is pivotal, but really it's shining a light on her. It's shining a light on Clarice and the way that she moves through this story.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we'd be remiss not to at least discuss Buffalo Bill a little bit. Played by Ted Levine. We have a clip to give you, as creepy as Anthony Hopkins is, believe it or not, there's an argument to be made that he is maybe not the creepiest character. I don't know. There's probably a debate back and forth that could be had about this. Buffalo Bill is a guy who thinks he wants to have a sex change, but as Anthony Hopkins points out in the movie, it doesn't really, leading to, even at a young age when I finally saw this film, was rather disturbed by the sequence of him dancing naked in the butterfly. But some of the great sound bites of this movie come from the interactions. At the central, the way, I guess the plot device that ties him into this is he has kidnapped a senator's daughter and thrown her into what seems to be like a Revolutionary era well.
It's where it lives.
Yeah, basically. And he's thrown her into the well. And this is just a little interaction, a little taste of Buffalo Bill here.
Yeah.
It rubs the lotion on its skin. It does this whenever it's told.
Mister, my family will pay cash. Whatever ransom you're asking for, they'll pay it.
It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Yes, you will, precious. You will get the hose.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's just
I think that syntax, like it rubs the lotion whenever it is told.
I think he's getting a
genius
bad rap.
and horrible. And where did it come from? I have so many questions, but it works so well.
He just cares about proper moisture.
Now, we do need to talk about, I think the one criticism that we really hear is, the fact that he dresses up like a woman and has the penis tucking scene. And there's been some criticism of the movie over its portrayal of, if you want to say, transsexual people.
Yeah.
I found that really interesting watching the movie, as you said, Brian, because it's been a long time since I saw it. And so I couldn't remember how this went out. But Hannibal makes a point, 1991, of saying he is not a transgendered or a transsexual person. It's just a symptom of
his lunacy.
That's it, right? And so, fact check. I think that is a piece of many serial killers, right? Where there's some sort of like a sexual deviance or an identity.
Yeah, and we're finding that even with, things with school shootings, that there's this sexual repression, this whole there's so much to this. It's very dicey to even get into talking about it, but
run for president.
But so I think what's interesting is yeah, I guess you could criticize it if you thought that they were really portraying transsexual people in this way.
Yes.
But the fact that you have that disclaimer from Hannibal is
I think
huge.
it's unfortunate timing too,
because there's nobody, there's no other portrayal,
right?
And this is what I said about Pulp Fiction, right? It's the lack of anything to contrast it to,
right,
that makes that scene in Pulp Fiction so problematic. But you also don't have. I think that disclaimer by Dr. Lecter does frame it, right? Of like,
I think it
this is not,
does.
And again, for time period, I was kind of impressed by that they included that in the film. I think like that's not what this is.
Yeah, I would love to read. If there's any, I didn't check. Obviously, I should have read if there's any more recent articles, for or against for this specific reason.
Yeah.
Because for me, I struggle with the responsibility of art to change characters because to me this is not a stereotype.
I agree.
So like that, and that is this isn't like Apu on The Simpsons, a 7-Eleven owner who has a Middle Eastern accent.
Yeah.
And so I struggle with the idea of like that this character can't be portrayed because no one's portraying transgendered people in a positive light at the time.
You can't put that responsibility on this film and these filmmakers that they have to educate the populace.
And it's so murky as far as like how you should feel about that. But it's tough to say that this character is in any way as far as me, and I'm not, I don't have to look very far to see characters that I identify with portrayed in a good light. So take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they were trying to make any kind of statement about transsexual or transgendered folks.
I don't think so either. I agree.
I mean, so it's interesting because we watched Mindhunter as well. And so you'll see the same theme in one of the serial killers on Mindhunter.
Yep.
And again, to me, that's not a statement about that. That's not about transsexual individuals. That is about people who have a tendency towards being serial killers.
I think
and there's a piece there of their
there's a disconnect.
Of their identity and there's often a sexual nature to it of where they find pleasure. And so it's just a completely different, I don't know. I think it's a completely different thing.
Well, and I think that brings up a really interesting thing, which is almost like a debate for a whole other issue, which is, what is the role of the artist to be an educator?
Right. The artist should not have to educate.
Yeah, I mean,
unless they want to. I think
that should be a choice. If you are doing it, and this is always a big issue for me teaching history, because I tell students, the idea of using a Hollywood film for historic purposes, there needs to be a reason you're doing it with an understanding of an acceptance of what it is.
Yeah.
For example, before break, we had a couple of days with my AP kids and I showed them Dr. Strangelove in relation to the hysteria of the atomic age and what was going on there. Now, that's a satirical take on something, and we discussed that and the use of it and what Kubrick was attempting to portray. If I'm going to show a biopic on somebody, I tend not to do that. It's why I'm mildly anti-Forrest Gump. It's just not reality. Right. I don't think it's Ted Demi's role to need to educate. So if he was doing a documentary on transsexual, now at the same light, I think to do it as a stereotypical character where the focus is solely on the fact that he is a transsexual is something, different. I mean, to me, that was a layer of this character, but not the more that, a guy's making suits out of women's flesh.
Yeah.
You know, there's something that is, you know, to me, it's the fact that he isn't even transsexual is not even on the radar.
We do also have another serial killer in this movie who is not exhibiting any of those characteristics.
No, absolutely not.
But yeah, it's a dicey conversation. I'm glad it happens. Though.
I mean, so I think that we have had this conversation with other films where we've said, so now, knowing what we know now, it makes it difficult to watch those movies. I didn't feel that way with Silence of the Lambs.
I totally agree.
Can I give you an example that is like, you want to talk about polar opposite movies?
Yeah.
So Jim will know this, and the Pop Addle guys will know this because I've been discussing this in our group chat. I have been rewatching the Police Academy movies.
Why did you have to bring this up, Katie?
I was nervous.
But this ties into it.
Yeah.
Because their use of transsexuals, homosexuals, like the humor that is tied to that is that kind of cringe-worthy humor that this
can't
movie
find it funny anymore.
Really steers away from.
Yeah.
And I just but I think that's an example, like that there's a way that you can still watch films and the way they do it and the way it's expressed and the way that it's done. And then there are other ways that we've talked about before that are more cringeworthy. And this is not one of those. And I think it's done in an interesting way in terms of that. By the way, you brought up Mindhunters. Another great thing if you're anybody who's interested in serial killers, on Netflix, Don't Fuck with Cats.
Oh yeah, I heard it's amazing.
What?
Yeah,
that's the name of the show.
Yeah, I'll tell you the premise. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Brian. You do it.
Well, I don't even have to, but I don't even spoil anything for Katie.
Okay.
Just why if Aileen and I watched
Is this about how cats cannot really be domesticated animals and they will eat your face?
No,
but that's also true.
I hate cats, as we know. I'm
they
definitely
will
allergic.
Devour your entire body.
Listen, before we end this discussion, we have to talk about the best part of this movie. The fact that Chris Isaac, the amazing singer,
he is really amazing.
It
jarred me. It jarred me. I was like, Jim, he's an actor.
By the way, not only Chris Isaac,
he was an actor in Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me.
I didn't remember that. I didn't watch Twin Peaks.
He also Brian Donald Faison again.
Oh yeah,
Frankie Faison, not Donald.
Yeah.
No,
we just saw him and do the right thing.
Yeah. Once basketball season's over, I'm going to try to start a spreadsheet with actors' appearances.
We need to know.
That's great. Who are you watching the most?
Yes, but I would be remiss without playing a soundbite of a Chris Isaac. So let's play a little Chris Isaac.
This will be a good rap.
Give me some.
Now, this is not in the movie.
Yeah, this is the part where Hannibal bites the guy's face.
Why did we
He was crying.
Oh, there were no Chris Isaac songs in the movie. Just Chris Isaac was acting in the movie. I agree. This would not have fit the feel. Maybe this would have been the Buffalo Bill scene. This could have been a good, him dancing in the mirror song.
I can't do that thing, that Elector thing. The thing he does with his tongue. How he does it.
I mean, also, no, please don't try, because I will never kiss that mouth again.
If you are lucky enough to follow Jim on Facebook, he was asking for songs he should learn to play. I think this should be the one. And you should play it next week.
I will say Chris Isaac is actually a very good guitar player.
Yes.
And he's an incredible singer.
Agreed.
And so that'll be tough.
We didn't get to
that song.
Yeah.
I just want to add that I have this song on my playlist, which I've entitled on my iPhone Yacht Rock. I have a Yacht Rock.
I mean,
it's
what's it called? Foolish Games always wins the sexiest video ever made.
Oh, I don't know if I even know the video. I thought
are you serious?
Song.
Oh, you don't know the video? Oh,
yeah, there's lots of half-naked sand-covered bodies.
I'm adding this. Hold on.
Brian hates it because there's sand on the nakedness.
Oh, sand everywhere. Hold on. Let me get my list. Hold on. Here we go. Katie, I'm doing this for you.
Katie.
Tongue to pencil.
Oh, he's licking the tip.
Katie, you need to watch the Wicked Game video and give us a recap of it for next week's show on Fact Check.
Will do.
I'm adding this here. All right, it is time for Game of the Week.
First time.
Did he practice? I don't know. He did.
I might have.
All right, here we go. This week's game of the week is Fast Four. We're ranking the most disturbing killers we've seen in a Comm Majors movie. Here are 4 choices. Buffalo Bill from, of course, Silence of the Lambs. I was kind of a toss-up Buffalo Bill or Hannibal, but I took him off because I feel he's so iconic.
Yeah.
It might have skewed the list. Jack Torrance, of course, from The Shining. Kevin Wendell Crumb of Split, one of our favorites. Or Billy Loomis from Scream.
May I go first?
Yep, go.
You're going to go first.
All right. I am going Buffalo Bill, then Kevin Wendell Crumb, then Jack Torrance, then Billy Loomis. Billy Loomis. I hate Billy Loomis.
Creepiest. You think Billy Loomis is the creepiest?
Oh, no, least.
Least. Okay.
Sorry.
So you went reverse order.
Yeah. So Buffalo Bill, most creepy. Now, see, this is interesting. I feel like you should have put Hannibal onto the list.
Well, he would be the most creepy.
Yeah, Hannibal would have been.
I thought he would have been number 1. I didn't think there would be a game to it. It would just automatically be that. Okay. Jim, what do you think?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think maybe what?
I don't know. I'm coming back on Split.
Okay. Yeah. I think
the crawling on the walls.
Oh, see, I was going to drop him below. I think going.
Think about that scene. Think about the scene.
Number 4, I'm going Billy Loomis.
Yes.
Because I feel like I might be able to overpower him.
I could.
I know you could break Skeet Ulrich in half like a stick. He's a little boy. He's a little boy.
The scene that might have disturbed me the most of any scene we've ever watched on this show is him sleeping with her and then basically
100%.
Her that
100%.
Oh no, not
worse. We take that in. Most disturbing person? Most disturbing boyfriend?
He's not even in there.
I don't know. But he's not trying.
He's not even in there?
Yeah, maybe.
No, he's disturbing. He is disturbing. But I
what about Amanda?
Should I stop? Scout's tearing up your papers. Are these important papers?
No.
Are those your business papers?
Yeah, it is for work. They are for work. The dog is destroying Jim's office.
Wait,
she's trying to get Captain Marvel over here.
As long as the Captain Marvel tape's okay, it's all right.
I go Billy Loomis, and then I put Jack Torrance ahead of Kevin Wendell Crumb, because if you get Kevin Wendell Crumb on a good day, you talk to that little boy, you can reason with him.
No, but it's you don't know.
You talking about the beast?
You don't know who you're going to get.
Well, I don't want the woman. I put the woman personality of Kevin Wendell Crumb maybe creepier than the beast.
They're all creepy, Jim.
No, the little boy or the gay fashion designer.
Yeah, they're fine. They're fine. Yeah. No, you're right.
They were good.
But Jack Torrance also has moments where he's fine.
No, he's like possessed by the evil, the condensed evil of one hotel.
He talks to his child. He's not trying to kill.
That might be the creepiest scene we've done.
You need to reevaluate your marriage if you thought at any point he was an okay spouse.
Oh no, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I might even put him beyond Buffalo Bill.
We said most disturbing killer. Like I don't think Jack Torrance is like going out into town and being like, how many people can I kill?
Yeah, that's true. But, okay, so whatever. Yeah. What do you say, Bri?
I think the most disturbing character in the film was Sybil Shepherd in Chances Are. that she was that obsessed with her dead husband.
Oh my God.
No, I would probably go probably Buffalo Bill 1, Jack Torrance 2, then James McAvoy 3, and Billy Loomis 4. But it's a tough, a tough one.
The dog is tearing the office apart.
Let's go to 5 questions.
5 questions. Here we go.
You want answers? I want the truth! What makes a man, Mr. Lebowski?
What the fuck is the internet? Would you? Why?
All right. This week for 5 questions, Jim will be answering because it's his movie. All right, here we go. Question 1, thumbs up or thumbs down, lamb for dinner?
I'm thumbs down on lamb. Wow. I'd rather have pretty much anything.
My parents always served it with mint jelly.
Yeah, that's like a famous,
you don't need the mint jelly.
That's like a famous thing. I'm not a lamb person. I'd rather have steak. I'd rather have chicken. I'd rather have fish. I'd rather have pork. I'd rather have
He's a vegetarian?
Seafood, lobster.
I make lamb.
Yeah. I'd rather have pretty much any other protein
Oh, I love
But
lamb.
lamb.
Craig Goldberg was nice enough to give me some delicious lamb chops from his meat share recently.
He shares meat, don't ask.
Organic meat share. It was absolutely
His meats are organic.
His meats are aplenty.
They were fantastic. All right, here we go.
Was it a shank? Did he give you a shank or a chop?
It was not a shank. It was a chop, and they were delicious. Jim, better FBI criminal profiler in a film or television show? Clarice Starling or Fox Mulder of the X-Files?
Considering that Fox rarely concerned himself with criminals, I'm going to go with Clarice Starling.
Oh, I
enjoy their
He's not a
names.
profiler.
I enjoy their names.
That was how he got his job.
We don't see that, though. I disagree.
All right, Clarice Starling. All right, here we go. Fill in the blank question. Question 3. A film I find more disturbing than Silence of the Lambs.
You know my answer to this. Chances fucking are.
Oh, it's so good.
You are so.
We are going to watch it once a year, Brian. I'm going to make him watch it once a year.
That chances are the mental illness that is taking place in that film without any indication that anybody is getting any help. Or killing folks on the weekend to alleviate that.
Is seeing a therapist.
Yeah, she was. Remember, she was making progress.
Yeah.
She was.
That was like
progress.
borderline a grief. That was just a grief counselor.
I am so torn. I so want to record an audio commentary for a movie, the three of us. And I cannot come down to whether it should be Chances Are or it should be.
I think we need to invite Tim and Keenan to that. To Chances Are viewing, because I don't think they've seen it.
I think it should be Chances Are. I think that will be more entertaining, and that the Notebook will be more scathing and depressing.
Yeah, that's true. People claim we're a little.
I think we can enjoy Chances Are. I can't enjoy the Notebook anymore.
How can you not enjoy Chances Are?
All right.
It's very enjoyable. It's very enjoyable.
In this country who does not enjoy it.
I don't understand it.
Is Jim DeSanto.
Nope.
All right, here's question 4, a favorite question. Jim, what's your favorite type of buffalo wing? What type? Do you like boneless? Do you like honey buffalo? You know, honey.
I like just the standard leg, not the wing.
Okay.
In like a mild buffalo, not like crazy hot, not.
You just told a funny story about wings. I enjoyed your story about wings.
You had a wing story?
At Delaney's. That was a funny story. Funny story. It made me laugh.
Yeah, we're not. It's not going to make anybody else laugh.
It's not going to make anyone else laugh.
It made you laugh.
It was about a free happy hour where you weren't allowed to ask for a ranch dip or blue cheese.
Yeah, they did like a thing where you had
as many wings as you want.
But you couldn't have ranch or blue cheese.
You can't have any, no cooling off.
It was Katie's uncle's restaurant. Yeah, apparently.
That is.
There's no cooling of the mouth.
Yeah.
Let me be clear. I am a supporter of bone-in wings.
Yeah, me too.
The boneless wing.
I mean, boneless wings are fucking chicken nuggets.
Well, they are.
When I was growing up, / in my teenage years, we would go for wing night at the local airport.
Was that where you would drink with your teachers?
No, that was a different place.
This airport was strictly for crop dusting.
I was going to say, what airport?
No, they were flying planes like with people on them. It was in Reading, and they had a great wing night. Molly T. Dwyer,
airport.
Kelly Ryan, back me up.
All right.
Wing night, Reading Airport.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's also local to them, which is like how many hours
Oh, yeah,
away?
we would drive like 40 minutes for wing night.
Brian, that's like you could locally come down here to get wings.
I'm going to be locally. I'm coming down to Appetites on Main for Tim.
We grew up in civilization. Oh, we're better than Katie.
This is a great question for Tim of Pop Battle. Do they have a wing night at Appetites on Main?
I don't know. We need to get out to
to
Tim's
know.
restaurant. Yeah.
We have to get
A
out there.
live episode at Appetites on Main.
All right.
I'm sure their manager will love it.
Honestly, where I really got it, I was never really a big wings fan. Can you guess where I got into wings?
Scranton.
Scranton.
No. After.
Manio.
Where specifically?
Green, the Bayou.
The Bayou.
They did they had good
Happy
wings.
hour free wings.
They were very
free
buttery.
wings.
They were
Anything that
very
was
buttery. Yeah,
they
were good.
very buttery wings.
They were good. All right, finally,
A lot
deep
of licking
thoughts
of the
question.
fingers.
If you could have 30 minutes to sit down and talk to a serial killer one-on-one, would you want to do that?
Absolutely not.
You get into your head.
I
Get
don't.
into your head. I
No,
don't
no,
want
no,
them
no,
in there.
no. Like, what do I have to gain from that conversation?
Nada.
There are other people way more well equipped to study these folks and help to catch future serial killers.
I don't want it.
Other than that, no one else should ever fucking talk to these people ever again.
Agreed.
I would go and have a discussion about Chances Are with them because I'm sure they'd probably have seen it as well. And it might
It's loosely based on their lives.
Loosely based on their lives.
It's very good.
All right. And that is 5 questions. All right. Next week, we'll be rounding out Oscar month with Katie's selection. Katie, why don't you share with us what your Oscar film nomination is?
We are going to watch Black Klansman with Denzel Washington's delicious son, whose name I don't know.
All right.
John David Washington?
There you go.
David John
Shocking.
Washington.
I am shocked that you don't know.
He's on Ballers.
He's on Ballers, and
he's also delicious on there.
He is
he's
in
in
Tenet, which is going to
Dark
be
chocolate.
Tenet is going to be awesome. He's in that.
Yeah, he looks great in that too. I'll watch him in all of the things.
Cannot
I'll watch
wait
him
for
on
that.
commercials.
Commercials. Okay.
I would watch him in a recasting of The Notebook.
That might be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Who would his scrawny friend that gets killed?
Oh.
Lakeith Stanfield. Boom.
Oh, you answered it before you.
I know. I was
before
thinking.
it was asked.
We might need to update that because I'm not sure the African American experience in the Deep South during the time period of the
Oh,
Notebook.
yeah, we got to put it someplace else.
Yeah, and they
It's
need
gotta
to be in
someplace
Africa.
else. You can't make it now.
He needs to die in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Oh, God. Lord.
We're gonna and
that's a totally different movie.
and that war scene would be shot in a sandbox at a local playground.
Yeah. Well, that's where the snow scene was shot.
Yeah, where the snow
Oh my
scene
God.
was shot. Make sure you like, share, subscribe,
Listen.
continuously play our show. We are at 73 cents. My goal by next week
Let me
is
check. It might have changed. Hold on.
Maybe
Hold
we'll
on.
make $1.
$1.50.
This episode was a long time coming. I feel like we sold it. Like
Did we?
yes. I mean,
It was weeks.
it was worth it.
We're
This
still at
only
7.
says 53 cents.
No. That's just what
you
we can.
spent 20 cents.
No, we can
What
only
if you
withdraw
spent-
83
It says
cents
that
right
there's
now.
only 53 cents.
I know, but
Brian.
if you see here, we've. Oh, maybe we got taxed on that 73 cents. I don't
We're
know.
not going to have to
It says
file
there was a
tax
20
return
cent.
on this.
There's a 20 cent deduction.
They listened to one of our episodes and they started.
No, I think maybe this doesn't get updated from here until.
Oh,
Shut it
once
down,
a
Brad.
week.
Shut
regardless,
it down. Shut it down.
keep watching. Yeah, and that's it. That's all we have for you. Make sure you join us again next week when we talk
Black Klansman.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. We love you.